Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to season 7 of Teeshirtz and Tea Tuesdays, guys. We were a little bit late this evening. Y'all know we don't do late. We usually are on time. My producer usually makes sure that we're Johnny on the spot at 7:30. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. So, with that being said, welcome back. Hi, y'all. We're so happy to see you guys. I hope that you missed us. We definitely missed you. Again, Teeshirtz and Tea Tuesday, season 7, episode numero uno. So listen, now that I'm back, and I know that y'all missed me and I miss y'all too, we have a season chock full of good guests, great information coming forth. Tonight's guest is going to bring the tea, honey. And I'm talking about that tantalizing, effervescent acumen, that tea. And listen, when she brings it, y'all need to make sure that y'all got that pad ready, that pen ready, because you are going to need it. You do not want to miss the information that she's going to be sharing tonight with you. And it's for what? FREE. That spells free for you. So listen, again, I'm going to go ahead and introduce her, but I want to make sure that you guys, even if you don't have your pen and your paper ready, make sure you got your phones. Take notes on your phone, because I know that's how a lot of the millennials do it. For me, I'm a little OG. I got to have my pen and my paper. So with that being said, however you choose to do it, let's get it done. Also, just a little bit of housekeeping. As usual, per usual, guys, make sure that you like, share, follow, and subscribe to whichever platform you are on this evening. Share this show, because we are going to get into personal credit, business credit, consumer laws, guys, how you can become debt free. You have to get this information. Why? Because nobody else ain't trying to give you that for free. Everybody wants you to pay for something, right? But tonight you're going to get a lot of good content, and we hope that you will also go over to our guest page, her Facebook page, her Instagram page. I'm not sure if she's on TikTok, but go over to her platforms and also follow and like and share. You guys are going to definitely want to enroll in her classes. So we want you to patronize in terms of products and services. But with that being said, guys, make sure that you also put your comments in the comment section. We want to hear from you tonight. We want to hear from you. Listen, these shows, they take a lot of work to get this stuff done. Our producer puts in a lot of work, and we do this all for you all. So if you are looking at leveraging your business, trying to grow your business, wanting to figure out how to use or establish business credit to do some of the things that you need to do as a business owner, right here, right now is where you want to be. And if you know someone who's in business or desires to go into business that needs that information about business credit as well and personal credit, please make sure that you share this. Share it on your timeline. Share it with all your friends. Share it with all of your family members, because this is invaluable information. And not to mention that we have a show coming up on Thursday evening, Bimp on the Spot with Taz. Y'all want to make sure that you tune in for an exclusive interview with Mark Evans II. Yes, guys, exclusive interview. You want to make sure that you are there on Thursday night to tune in with Taz. Now, without further ado, it's time to go on and jump in headlong, knee deep, however you want to do it. But I would suggest you just fully submerge yourself. All right, guys, now let's get it popping. We'll be right back right after this. What y'all trying to do? Yes. Welcome, Queen. Welcome to Teeshirtz and Tea Tuesdays.
Yes, I am so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Dr. Goody. I so appreciate you joining me tonight. I have been looking forward to this. Listen now, I'm gonna let her do her own introduction, but for real, she is a doctor, guys. Not an MD, but she is a doctor. So she's gonna give the story behind her background, but Dr. Goody is her brand. And so y'all are gonna be excited to hear about this. For all of y'all who are apprehensive about starting your own business, this is a great testament to what you can do because psychologists do make good cheese.
Yes.
For real. They do. So if she left her good cheese job to start her own business job,
Listen. Yeah, I tell you, it's crazy. So again, thank you guys for tapping in. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here. My mission is always to get in front of a group of people and just give value. If I'm not giving value, I'm not doing my job. And so I hope that everyone can take some information, from them today. But long story about me, I am a native from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am a clinical and forensic psychologist by trade. I've worked in the mental health field for about 10 years. And as of 2020, I pretty much took a leave of absence and decided to just like do my own thing, because sometimes like that industry or that type of work can really take a mental toll on you, especially after doing it for so long. And I
mhm,
heard God telling me that He had a new project for me, He had a new mission for me, a new goal for me. And so, as much as I wanted to stay in that job because I knew how it was helping people, God made that position so uncomfortable. I had no choice but to leave. Like that's how crazy it was. So when you get those signs, and I was not trying to be obedient, but again, like I was seeing the signs from everywhere. And I know that it was hard for me because I've helped to heal a lot of families, people, and things like that. So stepping away from that and doing something different was scary. But I also believed in myself, and I knew that God would never steer me wrong. And so as long as I follow, I know that He will provide a way. And so what I did was before I left my job as a psychologist, I prayed to God and pretty much asked Him, like, where do you want me next? And so I didn't have an answer in the beginning. So I just kept praying, and all I heard was credit repair, which is so crazy. Like I
wow.
heard that like in my head, I heard it in my dream. And so
Mhm,
like, I woke up one day, I was still in my doctorate program just before I defended my dissertation. And I just literally started to study credit. Like, I don't know what it was, but that's all I heard him say. It was just so crazy. And so I started to study. And so it got so interesting to me that when I did finish my dissertation in 2018, I was like, oh my goodness, no more papers, no more this, no more that. And so I felt really free. And so when I had a lot of extra free time, I started to like watch YouTube videos. I was reading books. I was going to trainings around credit repair. And I just really fully indulged myself. And the crazy thing is, I think it kind of started before I went to my doctorate program, went off to
mhm,
California. I had collections, medical collections, and they would not give me a graduate loan until I settled that debt. So I had to pay like maybe around $3,000 to $4,000 before I can even get approved for my student loan. So that's literally how, and mind you, this was all medical bills. I was always good with paying my bills on time since I was
mhm.
a teenager. And again, it was just medical collections. I'm not even sure how they were able to even report on my credit report. I learned now, I know a whole lot of other information that ain't happening. But if I
Yeah.
knew what I knew now, I would have saved thousands of dollars. But I didn't know the information I know now, and so I had to pay that money. So it kind of delayed my process. I had to pay the money. I went to school maybe 6 months later.
Mhm,
And I pretty much paid all the debt off, and then I just relocated. And so what happened was that was the initial start of me really trying to understand like how credit could play that big of a role in what I had to do. Like it's like that could have stopped me from leaving. And
yeah.
so when it happened, that's when I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. I was
Mhm,
paying a company by the name of Lexington Law. That's probably one of the biggest credit repair companies out
yeah.
there. Not the best, but probably the biggest based on marketing, branding, and things like that. And I
Mhm.
was paying them $100 a month for almost a year, and
Wow.
nothing happened. Like, and I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. I started repairing my own credit, and I was seeing results within like 60 days. And I'm like, I've been paying these people for almost a
All
year,
this long time. Yes.
nothing. But I also learned why that process may have looked like it did, because I learned
Mhm.
later that when you are working with a credit repair company, especially the ones who identify themselves as such, the credit bureaus are not obligated to respond because you're not the actual consumer. So they're sending
Wow.
letters on your behalf, and I'm
Okay.
like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we're sending letters. And later I figured out why that was happening. So it's really just important to really just stay educated, continue to educate yourself, and just follow. Some things may change. You just gotta, change with it. So that's like kind of the start of where I got into learning how to do credit. And so once I graduated my doctorate degree, shortly after, I felt so bad because I'm like, I did all of that. And I don't even want to do this no more because I felt God changing my path. Like, it was so crazy. And everyone was like, well, do you regret, like going? I'm like, no, I don't regret going to school, because for the time that I did that, like, I did the best, and I did a lot. And I
Right.
use those tools every day when I'm interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand effective communication. I understand thought processes. I understand mindset and how it influences the way that you act, behave.
Right.
That I would never take back. Like, I would have never got that if I'd have never got my degree. So I feel like everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. God was molding me. God was preparing me for my next journey. And so after I decided that I was going to be obedient to what God was saying, and He made it so uncomfortable, I literally like put in my notice, and
Wow.
left out my last day as a contractor working for a private company. I literally felt like there was a weight lifted off of my shoulder. Like, I felt like so free. And I
Mm-hmm.
was praying and manifesting, living a life that I had freedom. It was never about the money. It was always about the freedom. And that's why I jumped into entrepreneurship, because I was tired of being tied to a 9 to 5. Like, I
Yeah.
was tired of not being able to travel when I want and having to request PTO. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just wasn't the life that I wanted for myself. And so
Right.
that is what allowed me to just say, listen, I'm gonna go tenfold. Like, I put my foot out there. I ain't look back. And later, yeah. Listen, it's been a journey, but it's nothing that I would, take back. Like, I love being my own boss. I love being able to work on my own terms. I love being able to travel. As long as I have internet, I can work anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left my job, right before I left my job as a psychologist, I made 6 figures in 3 months doing credit repair by myself. I was like,
Wow.
I'm in the wrong. It wasn't even about that, because at that point, God had already made it clear, like, honey, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And so,
Yeah.
so God was showing me everything before I actually,
Mm-hmm.
wow, like, when the thought of me just leaving that was
Mm-hmm.
very scary. But this is why I say mindset is important, because you get so used to working all these years, and
Yeah.
you got a paycheck coming, it's guaranteed, to like, oh, now
Mm-hmm.
I got to step out of there and no one's paying me. I got to work to pay myself. And so
Right.
once I shifted my mindset and said, listen, you are smart. God would not do this to you without a plan.
Yeah.
Like, follow Him. Like, you saw the signs. I stepped out, and I have not looked back since. And I've made the most money I've ever made working for myself than anybody could ever pay me. Literally.
Listen, this is I want to let everybody know, y'all just getting a little bit of what's going to be coming in October. When I tell you that this young lady is doing her thing, she's not just doing it herself, but she bringing her family in. So
Yeah.
can you imagine being able to be a business owner and not only prepare a table for you to eat off of, but you set the table for your family members, and now you setting the table for people out extended, just your clients, your customers, whoever is willing to listen. One of
Yeah.
the things I said to her, I'm like, I go to her, I'm listening, I tune into her lives, and I send her a message, be like, girl, I'm missing your lives now, I've been missing you.
Yeah.
And then she'll go live. It's because she really does. You can tell that this is something that she loves doing and that she's knowledgeable and passionate about. So a lot of free information is given when she does these lives. And no, you cannot go to her Instagram page and find those lives on her page. If you're not there when she go live, you just done missed out. Period, Pooh.
Yes, I
Just,
say turn notifications on. There are certain people that never miss a lot. I'm like, they have their
yeah.
notifications on for sure.
Yeah. And I get mad too when I look at my phone. I'm like, how did I miss this doggone life?
Right. I get that all the time. I missed it. I missed it. What did I miss?
Yeah. One of the things that you said in your lives, I think the last one that I tuned into, you were saying something about fear. And basically, you were saying that if you don't feel afraid to do it, then it ain't, it's not, it's not going to bring forth anything. But when you overcome your fear and you just jump in and you do it, it's the most rewarding feeling. And I think that's a lot of reasons why business owners or people who enter into business ownership don't take the leap of even starting a business, because they're so fearful of failure before they've even given it a chance.
I agree. And I would have to say that I used to be that person who had to see like everything in order for me to start. And
Mhm.
I realized because I had that mindset, I never started anything. And so once I changed my mindset to say, hey, I'm going to just jump out there, right? If you don't fail, that means you didn't try, So I like, if I try, I can only learn from what didn't work. So it's
Mhm.
to help me no matter what, I can't lose. It's like for me, I look at everything as a lesson and not a loss, because
Wow.
way it will always, like, if you look at things the right way, you will always find the lesson in whatever it is that you're dealing with, whether it's painful, whether it's uncomfortable, you didn't see it coming. So for me, it's lessons, not lost, and everything is a win when you look at it the right way.
You learning, yes. And I love the idea that you were saying that even though you have your degree in psychology, you're a doctor, that you still take a lot of what you learned in that industry and you use it for what you're doing right now. Because really, it's all, I mean, when you think about the commercials and stuff that we see on TV, all of that is built around science and data and research and science and more science. So they know how to appeal to us based upon colors and things of that nature. So, and human behavior. And
Yeah.
so it's really cool that you said that.
And just really understanding people. I think that's why I have
Mhm.
so much success in my businesses, because I just really understand people. I understand the way that they think, what they expect. And granted, everybody's different, but like when you are providing a service in any business, you want to make sure your customers feel safe,
Right.
they're getting value. Like, and so when you have certain principles applied in your business, like you're going to set yourself up for success. Now, granted, you can never fully please every single customer in
Right.
business. That's just unheard of. Like, that's not
Mhm.
people, like they have their own thoughts and processes and
Mhm.
perspectives. So like, and they have their own, under level of understanding in terms of what they're supposed to be getting. So again, you
Yeah,
can't
right.
tend to that, but like I always try to be in my business, we try to provide professionalism, good communication, quality work. So if you have certain principles, I feel like your business will be successful. But and it's also just understanding what people want, you know?
Mhm. And also, some of us, a lot of us, as Black people, have an issue with abandonment, rejection, because many of us grew up without, you know, either one or the other parent in the household, and some of us grew up without either parent in the household, biological. So many times we feel that sense of abandonment and rejection, and so when you deal with business, those two kind of cross over. And so when people don't want to patronize your business, you take it personal,
Yeah.
not understanding that everybody has their own niche market, and everything is not for everybody. Maybe my body care is not the type of body care that caters to millennials. Maybe I'm more of a mature crowd. And so understanding your brand and understanding your product helps you to kind of gauge what's for you and what's not for you. At this point, I was just speaking with an attorney the other day, and he was like, at this point, he used to take pretty much anybody that came to his way, but now he's being selective about who fits his niche. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And I think that that's something that we all should understand.
Yes.
So, as now, I'm ready to go ahead and get into this credit, honey. I
Yes.
know that's what the people waiting for. I know it's what they're waiting for. So I don't know how you can take it how from either go personal and then business or however you want. But I do want everyone to know that she has some good information about consumer law. So I don't know if she's gonna say the best for last or she gonna come out the gate with that, but I'm gonna let you take it, Dr. Goody. I'm not gonna interrupt you at all. I'm gonna let you do what you do.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much. So one thing I always stress is the importance of having a good personal credit. Now, when it comes to really understanding consumer laws, like your credit score has nothing to do with getting access to capital lines of credit, but you really have to know who you are, and you
Mhm.
have to overstand. You have to
Okay.
overstand. And so when you do that, all of that stuff doesn't matter. But for the lay person, like, you have to make sure like your credit is good, because that is how you can really easily navigate, when it comes to like being able to get access to loans and, lines of credit and credit card, things like that. Because if you don't have good personal credit, what's going to happen is they're going to say, okay, you apply for something and then you get denied, because they're going to say either you have too much credit, you have too many recent inquiries, debt to income ratio, or not enough credit history. They're going to find a reason, not to give you that particular line of credit.
Gotcha.
Now, when we talk about consumer laws, technically and legally, a creditor lender cannot deny you access to credit regardless of your credit score. That is a law, right? It's under the Equal Opportunity Act, right? So what happens is, and it's a long story, but to make a long story short, so the creditors such as Bank of America, Honda, Navy Federal, they are not the original creditors. If we know consumer law, we as the people are the original creditors. So if we are the original creditors, that means that they cannot deny us an extension of our own credit, because they're not giving us credit. It's
Right.
like we're going into these banks and exercising our own rights and extending credit to ourselves. And this is because back in 1933, the United States went bankrupt. And so when they went bankrupt, there's no way to really pay for anything besides silver and gold. And so as a result, the economy flowed based on the credit of the consumers, which is us.
Wow.
The banks don't have any money. So when you go into a bank, or if you go into a dealership, they make you think they're giving you a loan when they're not giving you a loan. They're creating a fictitious paper for you to sign.
Wow.
And what happens is, when we are all born, there is a Sesticade trust account that's created on every one of us as a U.S. citizen. And what happens is the Department of Treasury actually holds that money. It's worth millions of dollars. And so whenever we go to a dealership or, a bank to ask for anything, the moment they take our social, they've already gotten paid for whatever it is that we're applying for. So any payments after that is all fraud, whether the bank is receiving it, the dealership is receiving down payments for your cars, 100% illegal. It tells you in the law that you cannot mix credit and cash together, right? So if everything is given to us as an extension of our credit, you cannot mix that with a cash transaction. So if anyone has ever like put a down payment on their car, I don't care if it's been 25 years, you can get your money back. And
What?
money that you ever paid with the car, yes, every payment after that you can get refunded. You just have to know law and you have to know the process. So like you can get it all back. It's 100% illegal. And so, and they'll tell you like, hey, if you put down this amount of money, then we'll be able to make your note, monthly.
X, Y, yeah.
A lie. This is, if you're putting a down payment down, that money is going directly to the dealership. It has nothing to do with your loan whatsoever. Because remember, you cannot mix credit and cash in a transaction. That's illegal. Yeah. So again, consumer law. When you study consumer law, like now, I'll say a couple of laws, right? So because the United States went bankrupt in 1933, that means that all debts, both private and public, are the obligation of the United States, not us as a consumer. It's their debt. And this is why, remember, I said the only way you can ever pay for anything is through gold and silver. If we don't have gold and silver, we can't pay for anything. So all of our bills are already paid for us. We just don't know how to endorse that. And so what happens, if you ever recognize when you get a bill in the mail, your bill always comes to you in a positive state, right? If let's just say you got an electricity bill and it's $80 in a bill, $80.35.
Yeah.
It doesn't say negative $80.
It doesn't. You're
It's
right.
positive, which means it's a credit to your account. It's already paid for you by your Sesticade trust account, which they've already gotten paid. So remember, when they send it to you, it's a statement. It never says the word bill really. Maybe in the text, but the actual document is a statement, which is pretty much just a detailed description of the account. So they use words like pay, due to deceive you into thinking that you owe the money that was already paid for. And so that's utilizing deceptive form. That's 15 USC 16, I think 1692. But this is all like federal codes. So 92J. So that's false and misleading and deceptive form. So they cannot send you a bill that a bill that is already paid for. So what happens is when they send you a bill or a statement, they're pretty much sending you an offer. They're offering you the credits, but you have to endorse it to be able to apply it to your account and mail it.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
Yeah, so for example, like everybody, so this, let me tell you guys this thing. If you currently have your bills on paperless, take it off. That's number one. They
Oh,
do this for
paper
a
don't.
reason. They do this for a reason because if you look at the bill and you really pay attention to the statement, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. So I wish I had an example of one up here. Actually, I might, because I had one yesterday when I was on, let me see. So what happens is when you, it's the bill. So when you get your statement in the mail, what happens is at the bottom of it, there's a coupon. Sometimes
Yeah.
they payment coupon. Sometimes
Mhm.
that is actually what is called a negotiable instrument. And so a negotiable instrument is just pretty much like a form of payment. It's a tender payment.
Mhm.
Now what you do is it's literally like a check. If you ever looked at it, it
But
literally
it does look like a check though.
it is a
It
check.
does because
At
it
the
has the
numbers
numbers
at
at
the
the bottom.
bottom,
Yes.
is literally a check. So
Okay.
if you endorse it the right way, what happens is they have to apply those credits to your account. So the bill was $80.35. If you endorsed it the right way and sent it back, they would apply that amount to your account. Now your balance is zero. And you can do this with any bill that you have. It can be a car note, car insurance, utility bill. And the good thing about it is once you do it the first time and accept it, you'll never have to do it again. They'll keep crediting your account every single month for the entire duration of that account.
Oh, child, I need to get on the phone. I'll get on the
I'm
phone
gonna be teaching
tomorrow.
this in my class that I got scheduled next week. But this is literally like when I tell you it's crazy. And another thing I'll mention, so you know how like people will go and apply for like food stamps, things like that, and
Mhm.
they tell you like you make too much money, or that
Mhm.
is all also a lie. Like the Congress tells us that each citizen is entitled to food stamps regardless of how much money you make. Your income is not even supposed to be considered. It is a right that we have as a consumer. And so what happens is you're entitled to $1,200 per person, per household, per month. So if
Are
you
you
ever,
serious?
I'm serious. So if you've ever gotten denied food stamps, like again,
Mhm.
like you just have to know because everything is an offer. If you go and ask for, let's say, apply for food stamps and they deny you, you
Mhm.
can always counter offer that denial. Like it's not end all be all. If you know how to respond, it's like, no, because this law tells me this. Therefore, give me my EBT card sent to this address with $400 replenished every single month. Period. Yeah, and you get it for the rest
Wow.
of your life. And
But
so
that makes so much sense though, because they're really like in essence withdrawing from our account. So it's not like the government is actually giving it to us.
oh, they're
They're
getting paid.
withdrawing it from our own personal bond, basically.
So our social security card or number is
Mhm.
actually an unlimited credit card. So anytime you provide your social to a company, they're making millions of dollars off of you. Yeah. So
Wow.
let's just say, for example, like I had an electricity bill for $80, right?
Mhm.
I endorsed the bill. So what happens is they might credit the account $80, but they may have told my Sesta K trust account it was $800.
So
So
you just don't even, and there's no way for you to even verify like what they're billing your social security
oh,
number.
you can. So we'll talk about that in the class as well.
Ooh.
You can audit these companies. So for example, anybody on that you've ever given your social to, there is a way that you can audit those companies to see if they owe you money. Because if they're tapping into your funds, you're actually seen as like an employee of their company, right?
Right.
So what happens is they're supposed to be issuing you a 1099-A if they're doing that, so that you can basically recoup the credits from what they're pretty much passing off. And so there is what is called a W-4 sandwich. There's three documents. It's a W-4, a 1040, and I think a 1040V. And so what you do is you fill those documents out and you put the name of the company there. You send it to the
Mhm.
IRS, and they will tell you, the IRS, if those companies owe you money and or credits. Like I don't know a guy personally, but someone I know, personally knows of a guy who did 60 audits, and guess how much money he got?
How much?
About $94 million.
Are you serious?
Yes, from audits. Trust me, these companies have been using your information for years, right? And it can be anybody. So the best place to start is kind of like with your credit report, because anybody on your credit report has your social. So you
Got
put
you.
them, you do W-4 sandwiches. Each individual company has to be filled out differently. And you send it in and wait. And if they give you credits, that works as well too, because you can actually open up a different account for your credits to go to, and you can pay bills with that account as well.
Wow.
Much, but it's literally just studying laws. Like I just really, I mean, I spend about 3-4 hours a day studying consumer laws. I just got me a new book. See, all about rights and things. So again, you got to stay rooted and stay educated, because I know that the more you know, the less
Mm-hmm.
you pay. The
Yeah.
less you know, the more you pay. And that's literally how this world operates. Like,
And
so what people don't know is that the United States actually has an EIN number. They're a corporation. So everything that we do, they're doing business with us. So what happens is when we're born, what happens is the Social Security Administration takes out a pretty much like an EIN in our name. So all of us
mhm.
have a fictitious name. So let's just say my name is Shaneika Goodman. My fictitious name is Shaneika Goodman, but it's in all caps. Whenever you see your name in all caps, that is you as an entity, not a natural person. So all of your bills are addressed to you in all caps, which means that it's not your debts. That's what they call it, a straw man, but it's
Mhm.
your estate, your business name, your business entity. So I mean, I can go on and on forever about this, but I've known of people who've gotten out of court cases because there's this process called your pretty much like taking, I don't know the terminology, but it's taking care of like your assumed name. So basically
Mhm.
separating your entity from yourself as a natural person. So
Mhm.
all of our bills are coming to us in our business name, and it's a
Mhm.
you have a court case that's addressed to you in your business name. Can a business go to jail? Go
Wow.
to court and you know your laws, they would dismiss that case. When they call your name up there, there's a scrimmage you can say. You don't respond to that name. You say, I am pretty much a representative of this entity. So I'm here to represent on behalf of this entity. So again, case dismissed, because people go to jail, not businesses. This is why Trump can do all he can do.
I was just getting
And
ready to mention him. Yeah.
does everything as a business. He has over 600 LLCs.
I can believe that. And
Yeah.
I believe that I know that that's why because people like, well, why he don't got to pay tax? It's a lot of them that don't pay taxes.
Texas is optional.
Elon Musk, a lot of them, they don't pay because why? They know their rights.
Taxes is optional for natural people, but it's not optional for entities.
Mm,
But again, we know how to endorse our bills. It doesn't matter who it is. Like that's anybody.
yeah.
So, and if you get all those credits that you can recruit from all those companies, that's credits applied to that. Like is you can come out of nowhere without paying anything. I mean, you can come out not paying anything for taxes if you know how to do it the right way.
So I'm thinking now, so that's even more of a reason why a person should file an LLC versus a corporation because LLCs give you the option to file your taxes as an individual if you're an individual that owns the LLC.
So I'm not
Technically.
too sure about that, but you can LLC your name. I do recommend people to do that because, again, like, and this is another thing that I want you guys to think about because let's just say we are applying for a business loan under our business, right? Or
Mhm,
a business credit card. And then we come in as like, okay, I'm applying for a credit card, line of credit under the Credit Docs LLC.
mhm.
Go sign my documentation. If I sign my natural name, I just put myself on the hook. Some of us are even signing as a natural person. You're supposed to sign as a business. That's how they get you too, because it might be,
Mhm.
but the moment you sign personally, you're on the hook.
Got
You have
you.
to sign as a business because now if something goes wrong, guess what? They did business with a business, not with you. They can't come after your personal assets.
Right.
You're not on,
Got you.
and this is
Wow.
why it's good to LLC your name because again, your name is a corporation. They did it. They,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So we can do it. So if your name is a corporation, you start signing your name and you use that EIN number associated with your name that you sign. And you can, and it's easy because you could build the EIN up, right? You can build it up with the business credit and all that stuff. And then you got the history. And now you don't, just like they doing business with you as a corporation, you
Mhm.
doing business with them as a corporation.
Yeah, exactly. Makes so much sense. That makes a lot of sense. I've heard of people saying stuff like that in terms of like making, turning your own name into an LLC. I've heard of that. And I've also like I look at not necessarily consumer laws. I've learned a little bit about that from somebody else that I've been working with to help like build my credit and stuff. So he was going into all of that information with me.
Yes.
But what I like to do is work on the corporate structure side in terms of structuring your corporation in a way that protects your assets.
Mhm.
So trust and different things like that, and how to layer your corporation to pretty much have like a foolproof system to where your personal assets can never be affected in your business transactions.
That is actually, that's what I'm working on the top of the year. So like we can build our businesses up, but we have to also protect our businesses, right?
Protection.
So we can build it up all we want to, but if you don't have that layer of protection around it, like it's still
Yeah.
on the hook.
Yeah.
So one of the ways you can do that is literally transferring all of your LLCs assets into a trust.
Yep.
Like there are people out there who do it for you. There are companies, but like I mean,
Mhm.
I can figure out pretty much anything. So I'm actually do it myself. Like I read books, so I can do it myself. But it's not hard. Now if you don't know anything about it, it might take a little bit of time understanding it. But you can go right on the IRS.gov website and create a trust. The same way you
Yeah.
see is where you go. And
Yeah.
so I have an ebook. I forget who it's by, but it teaches you all about how to set it up. It even provides like pictures like on the website so you can know exactly what
Wow.
it's very set. So that's what I got. So I'm just doing that. And then once I'm done doing everything, I'll make sure I have a professional overlook everything to make sure I have the right protection, everything's in place.
Mhm.
Again, I don't know everything. And that's not
Right.
my avenue, but I know enough to start it and think and what they mean, the differences between an irrevocable. Like there's a lot of different
Mhm.
stuff but you have to read. And so again, I know a little bit of stuff about a lot of different things. And then I just
Yeah.
and then I'll go to the expert if I need to and then help them, they can finish it out for me or make edits, provide feedback. But the
Yeah.
trust is important, and you can defer taxes on the trust. They're actually
Mhm.
taxed differently, so you can keep a lot of money in a family when you have your businesses under a trust. I mean, it's so I know so much
Yeah.
about trust. It's you have everybody should have a trust.
Yeah.
I don't.
Everybody should have a trust. And then I also learned some information about like life insurance. This guy named he's an actual life insurance agent. His name is Daryl. And when I tell you that he is on top of it, like
Listen. A
he
lot
was
of
like,
people.
don't even be using your personal account. You just don't even need to be doing it.
You listen, you don't. Like I have what is called a infinite banking life insurance policy, and it's pretty much like you become your own bank. Um,
Hmm.
Things like max funding, which means you put a large lump sum of money up front and then you
Hmm.
can take or pull from it sooner. But a
Yeah.
lot of companies have used life insurances to basically start their businesses, pay their
Yep.
Disney was one of them. They use a cash reserve life insurance policy. So I mean, if you don't have any life insurance, like it's definitely something that you should have, and you should also make sure you understand, what those different types of life insurances look like. Because I mean,
Mhm.
most of us, we have it with our jobs, like we're paying
Right.
$10 a month. But what people don't understand is that what does that even entail? What kind of
Yeah.
policy is it? Is it a term versus a whole? Is it
Mhm.
whole versus not? Like that's important because again, like we can be paying the same amount of money over here with this policy, but then we could put that here and had a better benefit.
Yep. Yeah.
Different policies are beneficial for different people depending on what you're looking for. You're looking for, let's just say, an investment one versus like a retirement one. Like there's different types, but definitely something that you should look into. A lot of people build wealth through life insurance. That's like probably the second most, and a lot of it, when you're like putting your money in these banks, they're actually putting a lot. They're dumping most of their money into life insurance just in the stock market.
Yep, and you don't get taxed. You can't get taxed, so that's the smart thing to do.
Interest when you pull from it is tax
Mhm.
free. Like, yeah, so I dump money into my policy because, again, I'd rather put the money over here in my bank than to put it on with them, So
Yeah.
you got to really understand like the benefits of even putting money over there. Um,
Yeah.
it is an expense. It is
Wow.
so.
So, Dr. Goody, I want you to let the viewers know, tell the people how many, when I tell y'all Dr. Goody is a serialpreneur, she is. She has so multifaceted. She has so many different things that she's doing to bring in revenue. So, a lot of, we don't want to narrow you down to just credit because, and y'all just heard from the information that she's sharing that they're like, she knows what she's talking about. And if y'all are having a hard time wrapping your head around the consumer law, just go to TikTok. It's so many people talking about the same thing that she's saying. The difference is that I trust her because she has her whole name, integrity, image, all of that on the back, on the line. She's a doctor. She has her PhD, so she still has to be responsible with how she's giving information and how she interacts with us. But I want her to share with y'all all of the different businesses that she has.
Yes. So outside, so credit repair was my first company. It's my baby because I understand like how important that is, especially for the people in our community to be set up that way. So that's
Mhm.
the first business I have. I also have a consulting business where I pretty much help like, aspiring entrepreneurs, business owners build their business credit. I teach them like how to operate, in terms of like compliance in certain areas, like how to,
Mhm.
sometimes I've got people who pay me to train their staff just because of my background in
Wow.
technology. Yeah, so I've done that. I
Okay.
also have my Airbnb company called Comfort Stays. I had my first Airbnb in
Mhm.
Mexico. I was completely booked out for the month of December. Someone's in there now. And I actually
Wow.
utilized business credit to fund that whole Airbnb. I spent almost $11,000 on a business credit card, 0% for 22 months. So no interest,
Wow.
like that. Y'all pulled the money off, paid for the whole Airbnb investment. And it probably would have been more like a $20,000 startup, but I got the Airbnb fully furnished. TV,
Wow.
private swimming pool, like is gorgeous and it's booked out, like booked out. So, and I hired a management team to actually manage it. So I don't even do anything. Like I don't have to respond to guests. I don't do check-ins. I don't schedule cleanings. I just look at. I got a payment today. I'm like, oh, child, like. And being able to have businesses where like you don't even have to work and you're getting paid, like that's mind blowing to me. Like
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
never been in a position where I'm getting paid from an investment I don't do anything from. Like that's
Wow.
like mind blowing, but it's because I understood like how I could leverage my credit to start businesses, right?
Mhm.
With the Airbnb, I could have paid cash, but why use my money when I could leverage the bank's money, right?
Exactly.
Sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's insured. So worst come to worst, if I wasn't able to pay it back, it's on the business credit side. It's not affecting my personal credit. So we ain't listen. But again, like there's ways around everything. So Airbnb, I only have one right now. It's in Tulum, Mexico. I'm looking to get one in Philadelphia. That's a hot spot, and also Houston or Dallas, Texas. Houston is a very very hot spot for Airbnbs. Atlanta too, but they're placing too many restrictions and
Mhm. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
I went to overseas. It's so crazy because I got approved. There was this development company that put like a huge, like maybe like 20 units townhomes, and I could have got five approved for five of them. And I got
What?
approved for two. Yep. And something told me to. I don't even know what it was. It's God. God was like, stay still. And so what happened was they were supposed to send me a updated lease with a
Mhm.
start date that was like 2 weeks out.
Right.
Original date. They took
Mhm.
forever to do it. And then by the time they said, hey, we have it, I was like, something doesn't feel right.
Mhm.
I have friends who had units and they had to like vacate because they put new restrictions. They call them what do they call them in Airbnb? Not clauses. Um I forget the terminology for it, but pretty much ordinances and things like that. And
Oh, ordinances. Oh my goodness.
they just completely changed it because of people were complaining, like residents didn't have any place to park where they live at. People were throwing parties. So like now you have to be very careful where you invest because it
Gotcha.
just changes. So that's what prompted me to go overseas because I'm not going to have that problem over there because they get all their money from travelers and things like that. So I do Airbnb. I don't do it. So I call myself an investor because I don't teach how to manage. So I don't do that. So I'm never going to teach something I don't do. If anything, I bring people onto my platform when I do have my 4-week course, and they teach things that I'm just not. So Airbnb is not teaching my platform, but it's not me teaching it. It's someone else I'm bringing to teach it. What else? I am also a stock trader. So I trade every single week in the stock market. I make guaranteed money every single week. I don't have to watch any stocks. I use the bank's money partially to fund that deal as well.
Okay.
So my good friend, she actually teaches that on my mentorship. If you've never like traded ever in life, she can teach you in one session. I would have never thought I'd be trading.
Oh,
And
I
I'm
need to get her info because my son.
Mary Smith, and she's on Instagram, and she is. I can't believe like how amazing she is. I'm like, I trade like I've never looked forward to Mondays until I started getting paid. I mean, it takes me like not even 5 minutes. I kid you not even 5 minutes. You don't have to look at it. It's called covered calls, trading covered calls. So it's guaranteed money. I started with $20,000, and the highest payout I had in 1 week was like $1,260, and I made that in less than 5 minutes. Yeah, guaranteed money. So again, cover calls. So I do that. I also have an Amazon store, an Amazon automation store that is actually being ran by another company. So I don't have to pretty much do anything for that. So I always pretty much forget about that one. But that one, what else? Did I mention the private car rental company?
Nope.
Oh, so that's the last thing. So that's like the second big thing. Like, so car rentals is like a thing. Like, I mean, even, during the pandemic, they had that chip that was coming from China that they used to like manufacture cars, and it was placed on back order. So that took like the demand for cars high. Like, I mean, there were people who came to me because their cars were getting fixed, and the actual car rental companies like Enterprise and Budget didn't even have cars.
Cars. Yep, I remember that.
Pay my company to rent cars for me. So I started that business literally leveraging credit because I have good credit. I can go anywhere and get a loan for a car.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. I can get 10 cars in 1 week, about 20 cars in 1 week if I wanted to. Right. So, yeah, you just go to this dealership and you get approved and you go. Remember, so it's gonna take 30 to 45 days for any account to hit your credit report. It can't report until you have the first payment. So now sometimes once you've done it, some companies might say, oh, well, you got 2 new car loans and we don't know. But like if you do it at the same time, you can get a fleet of 20, 30 cars if you want to.
At one time.
So, I went not this past spring, the previous spring, and I got 4 cars in one day. Somebody said I've never seen somebody come to a dealership and drive off. I had to call people to drive the cars back.
Wow.
I'm like, credit. Bank of America actually has a commercial auto loan, and you can pretty much get up to 4 vehicles under one business at a time. Yeah, so that's what I did. I got approved for 4 vehicles. And then like maybe not even a year later, I got approved for $200,000 vehicles at loans at Bank of America. And they have like the most competitive rates that I've seen outside of some credit unions. But they can do it literally 4 vehicles at one time. Like, or some people were saying like after people caught on to that, they were only doing 3. But after that, I thought we get 4. So it just kind of but so I did that, and I pretty much put the cars on Turo. And then I was just like, my cars just went. And then I just decided I'm just going to do this thing on my own. Like I still use the platforms for like marketing and things like that. But like I created my own systems. I have my own software for car rental booking. And I make so much more money. Like if I book someone on.
Because they take a large percentage of your money.
40, 30 to 50%, 40%, depending on like which 25 to 40, depending on which insurance plan you have. But so like if I had a person rent a car for me for 2 days, I might only get $110. But if I rented it privately, I'm getting $210 at minimum. My car at minimum $105 a day. And the truth of the matter is, when you're using those platforms, they don't show you what the customer is paying. So they only show you your payout. So I have a online car rental course where I teach you all about the game and how to really make money. Because, for example, if you go on Turo, right, and you put 2 days in for a car rental, that might cost a person $300 and something. Because it's not just the price of the car, it's on top of that, taxes, fees. Now, because I know what they're charging them, I could say, hey, come to me. I'll do it for $220. They just said $100 and I just made double my money.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
so like I know, and then I have some clients, like I had clients be in my cars for 5 months at a time, 4 months at a time, and I've made like I have a 2010 Prius, y'all. It was the first car I got. I was looking forward to a Prius because I did the market research, and those are hot commodities. They had no new ones nowhere near where I lived at, like within like 2 hours at least, no new ones, right? So I ended up
Mhm.
getting a used one that was sold by a private guy at a dealership. This car brings me in currently over $3,000 a month on a 2010 car. I charge $105 a day. The same person has been in my vehicle for since October 1st, and his brother previously had the car for 5 months. He paid for the car in 5 months. Yes, a 2010.
Wow.
And Priuses are amazing cars. Like they're spacious. They're good for
Yeah,
like
they good on gas and all of that.
54
Yeah,
miles per gallon. I got
yeah,
a one out front. I got a 2019. So whenever it's not rented, I'll jump in there, do my little errands. I mean, it's so smooth, it's so quiet. But like the car rental space is a great place to make money, and it doesn't require a lot of time. If you have the systems in place, if you have the right, again, systems, it just does the work for you. Like literally
yeah.
does the work for you. So I teach like private commercial insurance. I teach like the best trackers, risk management. All that is taught in my online course.
Now y'all hear this right. Listen. If y'all, even if you don't want to say just jump into something major, it's so important, and I can't stress this enough. I know that everybody say that not everybody is business owner savvy. Not everybody's meant to own their own business. But the thing is if even if you want to work, you need to have another stream of income outside of depending on your, yes, you can pretty much wake up on Friday if you get paid every other Friday and know that that money is going to be in your account, but you don't know when the day they're going to drop the shoe and be like, we got to let you go.
I agree. And that's so important. I always say like having one source of income is too close to none. And like
Yeah.
I said, everybody can't be an entrepreneur, but everybody can be a business owner.
Yep,
Like,
everybody can be a
like
business owner. You're right.
we need doctors, lawyers. Like I feel like everybody's job in the world is important. I don't care what you do. If you're a cashier, janitor, like everyone's job is equally important. That's just how I view people because it allows us to be able to flow in our community. But again, if you're leaving your livelihood in the hands of a company that could let you go any given day, like then what do you do? And this is
Mhm.
why you should have other sources of income, even if it's not something like Airbnb, but it can be something like renting your car. Like let's say
Yep.
you only have one vehicle. You can
Mhm.
put your vehicle on these platforms and you could block off the dates that you want to use your car, days that you work, and then other days that you may not necessarily do anything. Put it online. Somebody can book your car. That's $100, right? Or
Yep.
300, depending if they do it for a few days. So there's ways out here to really make money if you're just willing to be open and trying things that are new. Like even before I got into this space, like I knew I did my research first. I knew the demand of the cars, and people were saying to me like, why you keep getting more cars? What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't get booked? I don't think like that.
Yeah.
Smart enough to know that if one platform doesn't work, I know where
You
else
know,
to
to
go.
try another one.
I
Yeah.
Craigslist. I do
Mhm.
private rentals. Like I have not had a problem moving any of my vehicles since I've been in this, and I'm over a year and a half.
Wow.
Had an issue I've gotten, like I have like Jeep Wrangler, I have, Navigators, Priuses, I've had Hondas in my fleet, Nissans, like Lexuses, I have
Wow.
Corollas in my fleet. And I also manage other people's cars too. So it's not just all my cars. Like I've managed like, some of my mentees' cars, family members' cars. So you can actually like create a business without even having your own car in this space because platforms like Toro allow you to list other people's cars. So if you
Mm.
somebody, hey, let me manage your car, you want to make some money, go ahead
Right.
and put on the platform. You split it 60-40, 40-50-50, whatever. You just made
Yeah.
money in your car.
Right there. Dang.
Like, so I made money off of like I didn't really honestly like when I started out, I didn't really make any money off of like they call them joint ventures because those are people with my family basically and friends. And so I was
Mhm.
doing 70-30. So they get 70%, I was doing 30%. But Texas takes 30. So I'm not making
Mhm.
anything. So I was like, this don't make any sense. I'm like, I gotta up this, but it has to make sense. And so just keep in mind if you're gonna do a joint venture to make sure it makes sense because if you're running your money through a business account, which I surely was, so I can get cash flow, I get access.
Yep.
And this is why you cannot hide your money. Like it's so many times
Mhm.
they us
And we good for that. Now we good for doing some stuff under the table.
as
Now, and that's probably why a lot of us, including myself, I wasn't hiding money on purpose, but I wasn't separating my personal from my business. So when
important.
you had the PPP loans to come up, okay, I couldn't get qualified because how you going to show what you bringing in for your business versus what's going into your personal? You know what I'm saying? You commingling those funds, and I had to learn the hard way from that.
And this is the love that I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you commingle your funds, let's just say like someone is trying to sue your company, right? And they're
Mm-hmm.
after your company. If your company don't have any money, then they're gonna go after you personally, right?
Yeah.
What happens is
Mm-hmm.
the moment that you commingle, then they have rights to access your personal funds because you make it.
Wow.
So that's why you have to keep it completely separate. Like your credit cards, everything, keep it separate. So
Yeah.
I would just say, like, it's just, again, it's really important to just make sure you have structure. And even with the PPP, there were so many people who missed out on that because they didn't have the right structure. Not
Yeah.
because business owner, but you had to have a business bank account. A lot of people do not have a business bank account. You have to, the moment you get your business, um,
Open a business bank account. Yes, I agree
that
100%.
really starts the
Mm-hmm.
time frame of you being a business owner, right? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what your filing date says. Like
Yeah.
you actually start operating. So a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
like we hide our money, but like that's not smart, because I understand why you do it, but you don't understand like how much money you're leaving on the table by doing that. Because even like last year, PayPal, I qualified and I took it for $39,000 loan just because of what I funneled through my account in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
Mm-hmm.
just my digital stuff.
Wow.
So again, if I would have hid that, that's like 40,000 I could have taken to go do something else with this
Yep, exactly.
money through there. So, and it's capital funding.
Hmm. I
That's
mean, the thing is, too, is like there are so many different credits that you get as a business owner that you would never be able to get on a personal level.
that.
Like the benefits just far outweigh the benefits of just reporting and making sure that you itemize all of your stuff in terms of your expenses and your money, the money that you're bringing in as a business owner is like really you could walk away not really paying no taxes at the end of the day as a business owner if you know how if you like you said know what you're doing.
Right? And it also depends on what you're trying to do, right? So
Yeah.
we know, depending on who we're working with, like how to not pay taxes, right? But if
Hmm.
someone is in a position or they're trying to get a home the traditional way, we ain't talking about, because with consumer laws, the house is free. That's another conversation. But if you're gonna do it the traditional way, then you have to be able to show income. Because
Right.
if you're gonna hide all your money, how are you gonna prove
Mhm.
you for a house when you said you made $20,000 last year? Who's gonna
Right.
own if you only made 20,000? So it's like you have
Mhm.
to be careful of what you're doing and making sure that tax planning is important.
Mhm. Exactly.
So one of the biggest things that I like about business credit is because, when we utilize our business credit, it does not affect our personal credit scores. Like that is the biggest thing when it comes to business credit cards. Because if I had a personal credit card and I had $20,000, I'm going to take that and go get my Airbnb. That means my credit scores are going to plummet because my debt to income ratio or credit card
It's
utilization is.
yeah.
So until I pay that back down, my scores are shot. But if I was on a business side and I took, like I did with the Airbnb, to almost $11,000, that's not
Mhm.
going to affect my score because that information doesn't report there unless it's
Wow.
Discover or Capital One. They actually report to both. But that's why I have them, but I don't really use them unless it's like a last resort. But
You
I
said Capital One and what was the other one?
Discover. They both report.
Oh gosh.
Discover
Okay.
doesn't do business credit and cards anymore, but they did, and they
Mhm.
also reported to personal. So Capital One, like they have the Capital One Sparks card, is very easy for business owners if you have an EIN to get approved for it, but they will report to your personal credit. Now there are ways to take it off consumer laws because, granted, this is why consumer law is important. Like you can remove anything you want off of your credit report using privacy law and exclusion. So look up consumer laws, consumer rights, privacy, exclusion. Those two things to get anything off a credit report. So what happens is now I'm going to tell y'all this thing. It's something called the GRAMN Leach Biley Act. So pretty much what that act is, it's pretty much is for lenders, financial institutions to disclose certain information about your privacy rights and when they do business with you. So they're supposed to verbally state to you, like, okay, so when you have gotten that loan or that credit card, like, do you wish to have this information reported to third party agencies such as Experian, Equifax, TransUnion? But they don't ask you that. And
They
so
just report it.
report it without your consent.
Yeah.
That is a law. So if you put that law in your
Mm.
letter, it doesn't matter if it's a bankruptcy, a charge off, or a positive account. If you don't want it there, that is your right as a consumer. You can remove it. You just have to know the laws and do it, because these people are
Wow.
operating in compliance. It's your job to know when they're not and seek remedy too. So for anything on your credit report that is inaccurately reporting, that wasn't verified, not accurate, incomplete, it's $1,000 minimum per violation. So I can guarantee you that every credit report that I ever looked at, and it automatically has 3 violations. That's $3,000. If you times that by 3 different bureaus, that's $9,000 that you can just get right there just by knowing laws, literally. And so what you do is, and mind you, when they delete it, that's admission. So once they delete, that's your evidence. Because why did you delete it if it was right? Why would you delete it? So that is proof that they owe you money. And then you pretty much send them an invoice. Hey, request $3,000 per violation. Put the violations there. You can send this check to this address. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Wow.
If you put the right information in your letters, they won't even want to go to court. But if they play with you, go ahead and file the court date. They're not going to show up 9 times out of 10 because they know they are in the wrong. So they'll
Yeah.
for court. Hey, Dr. Goody, we're going to give you the $3,000 you requested from these violations. And on top of that, guess what we're going to do? Is there anything else you want to move from your credit report while we're here? Yes, I've seen those emails and those letters. It's that serious. And we don't understand as consumers how powerful we are. Like these bureaus, like they put that word bureau there to instill fear. They are not the bureau. If you go on Experian, it's Experian dot what?
.com.
Not .gov. They are not the government. But they put, thank you very much. They
Yes.
put the bureau there.
That's good tea.
Fear.
Mm.
Still fear. And so what happens is it's pretty much extortion, right? So we talked about the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act. So when they don't ask for your written instruction to be able to report, they have violated you. So anything on your credit report from day one is a violation. So anything on your credit report violation is written consent. Mm-hmm. Now, let's just say, for example, why would they do that? Because now listen, what will happen to you if you have a car financed with Honda and you don't pay Honda on time?
They come and get that car. They're gonna send credit collections, calls, and everything else, and then they're gonna come get it.
The first thing they're going to do is they're going to report the late payment.
Yep, they're gonna report it. Yep.
Late payment.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens to your credit scores.
Plummets.
And then as a result,
Injury.
how do you suffer from it?
You can't get nothing else. Or if you buy something, you got to pay a higher interest rate or put more money down. So it's damaging.
My life is in shambles, right?
Yeah, exactly. Duress. I'm under duress.
Mm-hmm. Distress, psychological, depression, anxiety, all that stuff. You can file what is called a Form 95, and you can ask for remedy. Now, when it comes to personal injury, nobody can put a value on that but you. So if you're asking them for 100,000, ask for 100,000. You can ask for $1 million. We don't know what they're gonna give you, but ask for numbers. Now they just pretty much affected you, right? So again, it's all about just knowing that information. When you know the information, apply it. Like anything is possible. Even when it comes to like being denied credit. I already told y'all that's illegal. They cannot deny you an extension of your own credit. So you send what is called an adverse action letter. Adverse action letter. And I've seen people do this, and then they come back and say, "Hey, we're gonna offer you credit line of $20,000," but you just denied them 2 weeks ago. And remember, everything is an offer.
Let me say this too, Dr. Goody, because it's good that you're going into this, and maybe it struck something in my thoughts. Mm-hmm. I was just sharing with my advisory board a few weeks ago. I said, Black people are so traumatized by the credit industry, industry altogether. Because I worked in banking for a long time. I had a chance. The higher I got, the more I actually saw things and heard things. But branch managers actually had the ability to push a loan through.
Oh,
so you send it. Yes, you could. And I would see where certain black people, like you have, like maybe you have a black person and a white person. Black person might have a 705 score, right? But maybe there's something on it that maybe the bank say, oh, well, we can't extend you the credit because of XYZ, because of this. But then you have that their other counterpart, which is might be the white person that come in, worse credit than the black person. But the branch manager can get on the phone and say, hey, you know what? I can vouch for them. They're trustworthy. Let's go ahead and push the loan through. I have seen this.
Yep. And that's what they did before the credit bureaus came along. Like what they did was lenders and banks, they would pretty much contact people on behalf of a person and ask them questions about their credit worthiness. Or what do you think about this person? Then
Well, they still doing it.
yeah, oh, for sure.
They still doing it. And
They do that for you.
that's one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to leave banking, because I really, they have the fair credit, all of that stuff. You go through the training, you hear all about it, but then you see something completely different.
You do. They don't operate in compliance. They don't operate in,
Right.
what's the other word? They don't operate in, just trueness, really. And so again, like I've seen it, and that's why people will say too, like have a relationship with that branch manager, because they can push it through. I've seen it for myself.
They can push it through. They can call in and say, hey, we have so and so. Yeah, they're good. Da 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 da, and that loan gets pushed right through. But the thing is that a lot of oftentimes, because as Black people, we're not connected to the right people. So having this knowledge of consumer law and understanding the importance of the power that we possess as consumers is so important.
We really run the show. We run the whole world. Like they
Yeah.
cannot function without us. Like it's our credit, and this is how we can operate in the world. Like again, United States went bankrupt, so they can't pay for anything. All those dollar bills, $20 bills, they're federal notes. They're pretty much a promise to pay later. It means it has no value. No value.
Wow.
So
The thing, and I like the fact too that you pretty much already addressed this question, because I was going to ask you why as a business owner would we want to use business credit versus personal. I know that a lot of people use their personal credit, and most are under the assumption that you have to use your personal credit in order to secure any type of loan. But a lot of us, like, we're just now getting to the point where we're learning about business credit. I can remember when I started my first business, my question was, well, would my business have credit? But where is the business credit? Like, how do we access the business credit report? Those were the questions that I asked. And then now, like years and years later, I'm finding like there is for real business credit.
it really is, and it's really honestly, it's probably well, it depends. Like you can build it fairly quickly. Like I built mine during COVID, and it only took me like 40 to 60 days. That's it.
Mhm.
No,
Wow.
I'm sorry, not 40, 60. It took me 60 to about 120 days. Because when it comes to business credit, the first thing that reports can take up to 3 months. But once that first thing reported, then everything else will report every single month. That's the difference between
Wow.
personal. So it's all about, when it comes to personal or business, it's all about structure. Like anything
Mhm.
else. And the thing is, people will go straight to try to build business credit, but they don't have the structure. Like you have to have the credibility steps first, because it's not going to make sense if you don't have it when you start to go out there. So, for
Okay.
example, somebody might have an EIN, a brand new business. There are some banks you can go to and you
Mhm.
can get 20, 30, $40,000 on a brand new business, but you have to know those banks and what their requirements are. Now, someone
Got
say,
you.
okay, I'm gonna go and get me a credit card, but guess what? You have no history before that. Who's
Mhm.
gonna most likely give you a credit card? If what they're
Yeah.
gonna do is they might give it to you, but they're gonna personally guarantee your personal stuff.
Your
And
personal
so you
credit.
do have to do that. In the beginning, I did it that way. There's nothing wrong with that. Like,
Mhm.
listen, meet you where you are, right? So in the beginning, but I had excellent personal credit. So like I was getting business credit left to right. And so
Mhm.
now I'm in a position, because I built my business credit. Now I can go solely apply for stuff, and I don't have my personal stuff on the hook because my business credit profile is strong enough.
Got you.
What you have to do is have the right type and amount of accounts on there, and it's quick. Like stuff like Uline, even like Amazon has a business line.
Hmm, I didn't know that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure everybody on here probably shop on Amazon. So just
Yeah.
imagine being able to apply there, and you're getting 2 for 1. Like you're getting products and stuff, and no matter what you buy, it's reporting.
Right, got you.
And so just like, so when it comes to business credit too, it's also important to know like which particular vendors report where. Same thing with personal credit. Like you might have like 7 different vendors, but they're all reporting to Duns and Bradstreet, and no one's reporting to Experian. And then before your Experian, there's nothing there. So where like I know everywhere where they're reporting to, so I know 4 accounts up here, report here. Let me get 4 of them. These like do it that way. And so the other step is pretty much just like, you know, having a business email. Like you want to have a business email because sometimes after these loans and things like that, you have to look credible on paper. Like you be like, all right, I got an EIN. Let me just go ahead and get this. Like, no, you have to have you should have a website. I don't care if you don't use your website at all. I have like 5 websites. I do not use my website. And that's what I use. But I have them because if they ask me, okay, well, what's your website, I can say, oh, it's Dr.Goody.com. Like, and they can look it up, right? So, website, a professional email. I'm not talking about cupcakemafia@gmail.com. That is email, at Yahoo, at Google. It is not a professional email. It should be at yourbusiness.com. So places like GoDaddy, Google, you can get those professional websites, right? Have a designated phone number for your business. Nobody should be calling your business on the same number that your family and friends call you. Like, if somebody call you like, hey, what's up? It could be a client calling you, just answer what's up. And what's wrong, you know? So you need to have a designated number. There's a lot of places, phone.com. It's as cheap as $5 a month for a number. You can get text messages, like phone line systems, like voice recorders, all of that stuff, right? You want to also make sure you have a business bank account. You want to list yourself with the 401 listing, right? So therefore, you're putting your business in front of people. Google My Business, same thing. You have your hours there. I've had people literally like reach out to my company, and we always ask like, how are you referred? Some of them say, I found you on Google. I'm like, wow, like I came up Google My Business. So those things, having a merchant account, like being able to run your money through a merchant account, not taking money from Cash App and Apple Pay and all these different places. You need to have a merchant account because again, you can get funding based on what you funnel through. And so, and there's ways to do that without really doing it, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Listen.
Okay.
Tyra said, spilling the tea.
Listen, I can go on forever about business credit, personal credit, funding. Oh, I also do funding too. So for a lot of people.
Oh yes, how you forgot that?
Yes, I do so many things I be forgetting. So I do personal business funding. So I do have a funding consult, and pretty much what we do is I'll look at your profile on a personal side, and then I would say, okay, you might be in a good position. If you're not, I will give you direct steps and how to make sure you're fundable at some time. And funding is a big business because, and I also teach that in my private community too. So like when you learn funding yourself, you don't have to pay anybody else because they'll charge you at least minimum 10%. So that's what I charge. But some companies charge 15%, 12%. Anybody who comes to my company and get funded, my fee is 10%. So if I fund them 100,000, which is easy with the right steps, I've made $10,000 off of one client I did 2 days of work for, you know?
Dang.
It's really easy money. It's all about structure. I just know the structure. I know what banks to go where they pull from. I know what they expect. Like, I know it's just like, I've been doing it for so long, I can do it with my eyes closed. But a lot of people don't realize, even on the personal side, like if you don't have the business credit built up, that is A-okay. Because if you have that good personal credit, go ahead and let them PG everything. Who cares? If you do the right thing with the money, you're not worried about no loan because you're going to flip that money.
You pay it back. Yes.
$10,000 off of it. So you just have to be educated and where to put the money too. Like, I feel like when people are starting their businesses, like they'll jump into like buying products. It's like, that is not the way to go, because if you just start your business, your money needs to be in like your branding. Like people need to know who you are.
Back into the company, keep leveraging. Yes.
Wonder why they have these amazing products that don't sell. Number one, no one knows about your product. You don't have a brand. How do you expect to attract customers with no brand?
Right. Gotta put the brand.
Branding. You gotta get the content,
marketing,
content out there. Then you gotta market. You get the funding. Number 3, then you get the marketing. So now when you have the funding, you can use the funding to market, you can use it to run ads, but people don't have the right process. It's like, all right, and I appreciate and I respect everybody who just jump out there, but sometimes you gotta jump out there and then jump somewhere else because
Yeah.
you gotta jump in this person DM because they got the market on lock. Jump
Right.
over here. If you gotta jump over here because Dr. Goody can get you funded, jump over there. You just gotta know where to go. Just jump.
Yeah.
Jumping, right? So that's pretty much what it is. But that business credit, and another thing about the business credit is you get like 2-3 times the limit. Like I've gotten business credit cards $30,000 off the rip. 34 racks was my highest one. It was Capital on tap. They gave me $34,000 line of credit. And my very first personal credit card, they gave me 30,000 was Capital One Venture card. This was like 4 years ago. I have a $30,000 credit card from 4 years ago, and it's 31,000 now. But like they gave me 30,000 from the beginning because my credit was so on point, and so was my structure. I had an 80, 805, 770 something on some of the scores. They kind of fluctuate, but I'm at an 805, 775.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me take my.
Listen, and it's easy. Honestly, it's like it's really easy when you just understand. Like I know the structure of personal credit, what they're looking for, how they measure. Like you have 5 factors when it comes to your personal credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's important to go over. The first thing is your payment history. That makes up 35% of your credit score. So for people, they don't understand like how important it is. Like it's like don't pay your bills late. Because the moment it reports, you can drop your scores up to 125 points.
And it's down there forever.
Yes, 7 years. And guess what? Now, even though it's down there for 7 years, it's still going to affect you for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? Then I always tell people, if you are in a position where you cannot pay your bills on time, just call them up before the bill is due. Don't wait until it's due and be like, oh, I don't care about all that and I'll deal with it later, because that's going to get you into some trouble. Always communicate. That's my biggest thing. You call them up and ask them you can ask for a deferment by law. You can defer your payments, any payments.
Wow.
I got a car right now. I got a vehicle right now that I deferred for 3 months, no payment. They can't report to the bureaus. They can't add interest, nothing. It's literally, there's a law that says you can defer your payment. And I've tried it and it worked with Navy Federal. So my Lincoln Navigator, 3 months, I have not paid that car note. And it's not reporting late, nothing. Yeah, so you can defer your payments. And so I always say, like, just make sure you ask. And then if they approve it, which they should, by law, they should approve it. Then write down who you spoke with so you can always have it on record and do that. But don't allow it to be late, because that's when the affection is going to be hard to get it off unless you just really know consumer laws. The other thing is,
I'm in the amen cone on that, because my credit score dropped. It really did. I think we was at like 750, a little bit higher, and just fell on hard times, and I just stopped making my credit card payment, and that's what hurt me. It was like,
and
girl,
don't y'all know by law is no such thing as a late payment? Can we talk about that for a second?
yes, let's talk about that. But hold on, let me get you. It says Tyra Rush said I need to meet Dr. Goody ASAP.
Why does Tyra look familiar to me? She looks so familiar.
You probably see her on Instagram. She's
Barbie doll. She's so pretty.
Yeah. And then she said, "Hi, loving this." She said, "Very informative." Micaiah Rush said, "More people need to hear this."
Yeah, it's really a lot. But if you just understand like the power of credit, like one thing I will tell you, do not play with your credit. Like if you don't play with nothing else, don't play, because they will use that against you. Like they will try to stop you every time. Like, oh, you can't get this, even though legally they can't do that. But let's just say the average person don't know that. So that's how I speak to the average person. Like they will shut you down. Hey, you don't. It's all fraudulent. This is how they keep the poor people poor and rich people rich. Literally, it's all about information. But you definitely want to make sure your credit score up to par. The second most important factor that makes up your credit scores are your credit card utilization. This is the most important thing that people don't realize. Like, so every credit card that you have, you want to stay below 30% of the total credit limit. Because when you go over your 30%, that's when your scores start to go down. It doesn't matter if you're paying that bill every single month on time. It has nothing to do with credit utilization. So if your limit was $1,000 and your balance when it reports is 400, that means you're at 40%. You're over 30%. You're going down. The higher that percentage becomes, the more you keep going down. So for every credit card that you have, you'll be under 30%. Now, this is
Okay.
how you beat that. Listen here. So you have 3 different dates. You have a payment date, a what's the other one? A payment due date. You have a what is it?
Statement date.
Statement ending date, right? And then
Mhm.
you have a reporting date. Those are 3 days that you have on any credit card or account that you have.
What was the last one?
So
Statement.
it's a reporting date,
Mm-hmm.
a due date, and the statement end date.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the 3 ones, right? Now, for every credit card that you have that actually reports to the credit bureaus, they report your balance every single month on the same day, whatever date that is. You find out
Mm-hmm.
the date that is by calling them up and asking them. That's probably the best thing. I always go directly to the source because it might report on your Experian account. It'll say date reported or updated, but it may not always be the correct thing because you're talking about a third party. So that's why I don't trust what they say.
Okay.
So ask them when the reporting date is. So let's just say, for example, I have a Navy Federal credit card. I called
Mm-hmm.
them up, they told me my reporting date is the 7th. Now, your reporting date is usually 3 days after the statement closing date. The statement
Mm-hmm.
closing date will also always be on your statement. So it's usually about
Okay.
3 days after. So if you don't know this, that's the threshold. And so what happens is if my reporting date is on the 7th of every month for that particular card, now I know whatever balance I have on the 7th is what's going to report to the bureaus.
Wow.
So
Okay.
now, if I'm going to make a big purchase, I'm
Mhm.
going to make that purchase after the 7th because now
Yeah.
it's
So it won't show up. Right.
up to. So
Yeah.
I don't care if you pay that bill every single month on time. You can still have your scores plummeted because you don't have the right information. I had a friend who came to me, I kid you not. She said, my credit score has been a 760 or was it 740, one of them for the longest. I don't know why it's not moving. She's like, I pay my credit card bills every single month. I said, just out of curiosity, well, she actually said the end of the month. So that told me right there that was probably her problem because most credit card payment dates are not at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Paying
Yeah.
month, but she's paying after her reporting date, which means that when they report it,
Mm.
balance is high. So that's what they're going to use.
Yeah.
Over that one piece of information within 45 days, her score was over 800.
What?
Points that she was missing was any information she didn't know. So now she knows I have to make sure I'm paying. So if your reporting date is the 7th, and before that you're over 30%, pay it down at least 4 days before the reporting date. By the time you pay it down, it will update before it reports to the bureaus. So because of that information, it pushed her over 800. That one part piece of information. Yes. So payment history, credit card utilization, those two together make up 65% of your score. If you're just paying your bills on time and keeping
Mm-hmm.
your credit card utilizations low, now I say below 30% is average, but if you want the high points, below 10% gives you the best points because that's ideally where you want to be, 10% or lower,
Got you.
0 to 10. And so those are the two major factors. Now, if
Mm.
you're applying for credit, if it is a hard inquiry versus a soft. So a hard inquiry is pretty much like when lenders pull your credit to see your reports, right? But if it's
Mm-hmm.
a soft pull, it might be a pre-qualification or see if you're pre-approved. That doesn't really hurt your scores. It just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
so that's the thing. That's hard versus soft. And so
Okay.
hard, every time they pull it, your scores are going to drop anywhere from 3 to 5 points. You can imagine, I've seen people 60 on one bureau. That's over 100 points that
Dang.
you lost because you kept applying for something getting denied.
Yeah.
The other thing is when it comes to inquiries, which is makes up 10% of your credit scores, that is also a big factor in whether lenders are going to lend to you because you can have an 800 credit score. If you got too many inquiries on your credit report, that's not going through the system. That's not pushing through because now they see you as a high risk person who's shopping around for credit and don't want to do business with you. It's an automatic denial, no matter if you had an 850, 840, 790, same difference. So that's why information is the most important thing when it comes to
Yeah.
credit. Because we can do our job as a credit repair company to remove derogatory accounts, but if you're not paying your bills on time, keeping your
Mm-hmm.
organization low, stopping applying for stuff, we can't control that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the control.
Mm-hmm.
Control whether your scores go up and down. It's algorithm because what is measuring your scores is what you're doing, not what we're doing.
Right. Got you.
So it's a two-part process. Like you have to do your part and we got to do our part. But so that's the second thing. Third factor where 15% is your length of credit history. So the longer your credit history becomes, the higher your scores become over time. This
Mm.
time to age your accounts. If
Got
your accounts are too new, if you don't have as much points because you don't have enough history there. This is why people sometimes get trade lines to boost up their history. But the more you pay, this is why you don't want to close open accounts that are positive, because cards you might not use so often. Hey, I don't use this card. Don't close it because you're going to take the history away from it. Let them age. And this is why credit cards are the best way to build your credit, because they continuously age. With a loan, once you stop and you pay it off, guess what? You know, points. But credit cards age forever because the accounts don't close unless you default or they close it because you did something wrong or you didn't use it.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. That's okay. Wait, let me read this comment.
Oh, 1 second. I got one more other thing. The other factor, mixture of credit. That's 10%. That's the fifth one. So payment history, credit card utilization, left for credit history, new credit, and mixture of credit. You want to have different types of things in your credit report. Like you want to have credit cards, secured loans, unsecured loans, lines of credit, different types of credit.
Like mortgage, a car payment.
You have those, it helps your scores as well. But that's the factors.
So I did have a comment up. I think my producer took it down. I'm not sure if it's okay. Todd says, amazing info, Dr. Goody. I definitely need to meet with you about my credit.
Yes. So if you guys are on Instagram, I'm at Dr.Goody, Goddy, the official. And in my links, I have a link for a free audit. So if you're looking for any type of credit help, there are other services there as well, business credit, one-on-ones, all those things. But we do free audits, so it costs you nothing. Just make sure, click the link, sign up, and then, somebody from my team will meet with you, and then we'll make sure you get you on to the right foot.
Excellent. Now, I do have another question.
Sure.
This question is, I've been hearing a lot of people say that we should put away our debit cards, like our bank account debit cards, and use our credit cards. So what is your position on that?
Listen, I don't even carry a debit card unless I'm utilizing a technique called manufacturer spending, which I cannot get into because it's a whole conversation. But that's the only time I carry a debit card, because when you use a debit card, right? This is two things. One thing, when the money goes out, it doesn't come back to you, right? So once you're not getting anything from it. With a credit card, it has reward points. Every time you spend, you're getting cash back, money back, so it doesn't make sense to me to spend it on a debit card, but I'm getting points on my credit. So I don't use a debit card at all when I spend for anything. And then, number two, if you were to lose your debit card, it's going to take you a long time to get your money back, because it's cash versus credit. Credit is protected. So if you got a debit card and somebody used it and stole your information, it might take you 90 days for them to resolve the issue and investigate. With a credit card, you get that money right back. Like I just had a charge that a Bloomingdale's charged. Somebody charged $500 of Bloomingdale's on my credit card. I'm like, what is this? I haven't even called me. I forgot. Thank y'all for the reminder. Go on the topic. I got to call. I had an alarm set today, and literally, I snoozed it. But what happens is, if I call them up and say this is fraud, I didn't do this, they're gonna credit my account ASAP. They're gonna investigate, but that's what they're supposed to say. They're gonna credit the credit card. It's protected. Remember, everything, our credit cards and bills are already paid for us, so they already got paid for that anyway. So you're protected for sure on the credit line. And again, I spend because with the reward points, the cash back, the gas, all that stuff, it makes a difference.
Wow. This is like
all of your bills that you would normally pay every single month, pay it with your credit card and take that same money and pay it back. Because then that's another way that you can increase your credit card limit. Because if you're maxing out, so some people might say, oh, I got a credit card, right? And they only gave me 500. See, I'm not going to be ungrateful and say they only gave me 500, because I know that if I do the right thing, that 500 going to turn into 10, 15,000 real quick, because all I got to do is keep maxing it out every single month and paying it back. They going to think the 500 ain't enough. If I'm spending it, so they're like, all right, we give it out to get you $500, and she maxing out every single month. Oh, she need 1,000 now. She need 5,000. Like, as long as they give that money, because they making money, especially if you don't pay by the statement closing day, they make interest. They make money off interest. So it's ways around everything, So
dang. Let me drink some more tea, because
listen, I can go on and on, man. I can go on and on.
Listen, this is what y'all get when y'all go to her lives. Exactly all of the information that she's giving out tonight is exactly all of the information that she gives out on her Instagram page. So go to her Instagram page, Dr. Goody.
At Dr. Goody the official. I just
Yeah.
changed it because there was a lot of fake pages.
Oh yeah, there is. I think I told you about one of them.
Yeah, girl, they be DMing me all the time like this. I'm like, that is not me. One of my friends just commented on one of the pages thinking of me. I'm like, girl, that is not me. So because I had it was before it was Dr. Goody underscore. So people were just making fake pages with like 2 underscores. So it's hard to know.
Yeah, to
I
tell.
changed
Yeah.
it to the official, Dr. Goody the official, so that there's no underscores, there's no secret characters, anything like that. So I just changed it last week because there's so many fake pages.
And y'all make sure y'all get the audit too. So y'all just heard her
Oh
say
yeah,
Dr. Goody, the official. Make sure that's number one. And then go ahead and get that free audit. I mean, you can do nothing but, just try at this point. With all of the prices and cost of living and stuff increasing food and all of that stuff, like we have to make sure that we're securing like multiple streams of income
yes.
because we won't be able to live. I was just telling somebody the other day, real quick. I'm like, $10,000 used to be a lot. Like somebody say, "Oh yeah, I made $10,000 a month." You'd be like, "Oh wow, that's great." But $10,000 a month, you gonna fly through that like you would $1,000.
Man, listen. When I first made listen, this is so crazy. One of my friends had a business event at her house like a few years ago, maybe like 3 years ago in DC, and
Mm-hmm.
all sat around with like our planners. We had a nice session. We talked about like our goals for the year, and she
Mm-hmm.
like, write a number on the page in terms of like what you want to make. What is your desired income per month? And I put $10,000 there. And I did it in like not even 3 months. I reached the $10,000. I'm like, this is not a lot of money because if you realize because you got to invest back into your business, you got to pay your,
Right.
but it's not a lot of money. I mean, $100,000 a month, not a lot of money. Like, I mean, to some people they might think it is, but again, like it depends on where you are, what your expenses are.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more money you make, I imagine that your expenses are more.
Yeah.
As a business owner, like, even when I travel, like, I need first class seats. Like, I can't be in coach because I'm on a different status. Like, I work hard. Like, I need a first class seat. That's gonna run me
Give
$500.
me my cocoon.
Listen, when I went to Africa, sis, I said, I need a first class seat. Like those overseas, but it's nothing. I'm not taking a 20-hour flight and and coach. I can't do it. Like,
Yeah, and you all cramped up and stuff. Can't hardly move when you when the ride is done.
expenses do change. I didn't understand that, child, until I got it. I'm like, now I see why because you need. I mean, when I go speak, I have a videographer. Like, you gotta pay for that. You flying them out. Like, you need content. Like, it just changes. Your life changes, so you don't realize that the more money you make, you have more expenses too. So,
Right. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
yeah.
Now, for a person who might say, you know what, I have a business, but my credit not good, but I also want to, increase my business credit as well, but I can't afford to do both right now. What would your suggestion be to them? Fix the personal credit first, or go ahead and, get the business credit going and then come back and get the personal credit?
That's a good question. So I will always say start with personal because remember, even on the business side, you're going to have to still build the profile out before they can think you're worthy enough for them to lend to you too. So, and
Mhm.
on the personal side, if you don't have the business credit, you can still get funded. So it's always better to start with the personal side because if you build that up, and sometimes it can be quicker depending on your process, but again, you don't need to have business credit to get business credit. You just need to have good personal credit if you don't have business credit. So that's why I always say personal credit first. And then and even when it comes to funding, like you can double dip. Like I've gotten clients like $70,000 to $90,000 with one bank because let's just say, for example, we went to Navy Federal and they have
Mhm.
business and they have personal. Navy Federal personal card, they got 20,000. They can go on the business side and apply. That's another 20,000. That's 40,000. And another one in 60 days, you can apply again. That's what 60,000 from one bank. So the bank is offering you personal and business. You can run the bag up. Like when I say funding, I funded people some money. Like they didn't even think they could get that kind of money.
Dang.
So, and I was telling people there was a bank called PSECU back when I was in college. This was our bank that they used for like our refund checks and stuff. It's a credit union. And I was
Mhm.
telling people back in December, this was not, this was a, this, no, the previous December. I was telling people like, listen, y'all, like, go apply for this bank. This is how you get in. Like,
Wow.
it was getting approved for 60, 70,000 on my live on Instagram. I kid you not. People, I was like, all right, go to FNBO Bank. 15,000 approved, 20, like getting people approved on my live, because I know that with certain banks, some of them don't care too much about the credit. Like, it's all about a number game. So I know some tricks and trades. So yeah, you can run it up. Now, mind you, you got 60,000 from Navy Federal, and you go over here to Bank of America, they give you 20. That's 80. You go over here, it's over 5,000 banks in the United States. Who's to say you can't hit up half of them if you wanted to? Like,
Right.
all of these options. Like, if one bank denies, it's not the end of the world. I
Wow.
get denied with 800 credit score. I still get denied some places. I mean, I'm coming back with an adverse action letter if I want the money, because
Yeah.
you can't deny me, honey. This is my credit, okay? I know who I am. I am a consumer, and this is my right. Like, I know.
Yes.
Sometimes I do it, and sometimes I don't. But sometimes I'll just apply to see, like, hey, they gonna approve me or not. But some, in my case, is because they'll say too many recent open accounts. If you know me, I'm always applying for credit, because I know to me equals money. So I can never have too much money. So I literally have a booklet full of credit cards. Like, I'm talking about like over.
Wow. Y'all see
So,
it?
and so what happens is, like, I'm always ready. And I tell people all the time, like, the best time to apply for funding is when you don't need it. Because when you do need it, they're going to come with all the reasons why they
Why you can't have
I
it.
just apply for stuff, and I'm ready for investment. I'm ready for it. Literally, I'm ready.
Yeah, that kind of brings me to the thought of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, when he was talking about like credit is your best friend. A lot of people don't believe in credit and, being debt free and this and that and the third. And he was like, no, credit is your best friend. Like,
When I tell you, people don't, especially people who have a lot of money, they don't think. But I've worked with some like high ticket business owners, and they came to me like, listen, I see you out here helping them with the business. Like, literally, some of them 500 credit score, but they ride around in Rolls Royces they paid a $500,000 for. Yes, and they were like, now I understand why I need credit. Like, I don't have to use my money. I'm like, leverage PM. Like, why are you using your money? Put your money in your trust. Put your money. Go spend $250 on a car. Go put it over here and use the bank's money. Right? So they start coming to me like, all right, we need to talk. Like, I'm talking about like people like high ticket entrepreneurs I've worked with and still working with. They realize like, I need business credit. I need this, but they don't want to use their own money anymore. Everybody talking about OPM now, so it's like a trend. It's like, all right, cool, let me go tap into whoever doing this, and they like, all right,
people money.
Yeah, like, so I don't ever use my own money unless I have to wire, but I can still not use my own money, because you can liquidate any credit card that you can pull from.
You sure can. Yeah.
Many ways to do that. Like, and you can do it without any fees. That's the one of the things I teach in my private community. It's called manufacturer spending. You can literally liquidate credit cards, all that stuff with no fee.
Wow. Y'all, do y'all hear this?
For a credit card, if you go to an ATM and withdraw money, you're gonna pay a cash advance fee. But like, I can do it without a fee for sure.
Wow. Now, you had mentioned something. I know we got to tie it up real quick, but listen, I'm gonna have to have you back before October for sure. So let me ask you a question. You had mentioned trade line.
Yes.
For personal credit. So I knew, like I said, the young man that I'm working with in terms of my credit, I had a conversation with you. He had mentioned a trade line for personal and for business. So how does that work for people that don't understand that lingo? How does it work to have a trade line added to your personal credit to kind of help you to leverage that?
I can definitely talk about that. I get this question all the time. So pretty much a trade line, just for people who may not know, is anything that's reporting on your credit report as an account is a trade line. Like, so if you have a student loan, that's a trade line. If you have an auto loan, that's a trade line. Everything on your credit report is a trade line. But when you hear people saying like, how do I purchase one? Can I purchase one? What they're referring to is pretty much being added onto another person's credit card as an authorized user. So let's just say I'm a parent and my daughter graduated from college this year and she is now 18 and she doesn't have any credit, because obviously you can start building credit before you're 18, but you can't pull a credit report until you're 18. What happens is I will put my daughter onto my credit card. So let's just say the credit card that I'm adding her to has a 10-year history on it. If I add her to my credit card as an authorized user, I just put 10 years of history on her credit report.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how it works. And so what happens is now it's also important to understand that not every trade line is compatible for every person's credit profile. Because remember, if you do, it depends on why you're doing it. There's different reasons why somebody might ask for a trade line. Number one is for history, just like I just explained. If you don't have any history, it's 10 years on it. I just brought 10 years onto your credit profile.
Right. Gotcha.
As long as that credit card has a positive account history,
Mm-hmm.
no late payments, it cannot have. If you get added to a trade line that has a late payment, that means that that late payment is going to now be on your credit report. So when they
Mm.
because that late payment reported to, so be careful about that.
Gotcha.
Number two, somebody might do it for so age, they might do it for adding additional accounts. So if you have limited credit, you might get added so that you can have more accounts reporting to give you more diversity. And then the
Gotcha.
other reason why they do it is for credit card utilization. So when we talked about that being 30%.
Mm-hmm.
So if I am as a whole utilizing 90% of my credit right now overall, and I
Mm-hmm.
get added into somebody's trade line that has a credit card with $30 limit, it now adds that 30 grand to the total amount, and now it takes my utilization completely down. Just by
Wow.
so that's different reasons why you would get them. But sometimes somebody might buy a trade line, and then when it don't do what they expected because they're not educated, they're upset. But if somebody sold you a trade line that you asked for, that's on you to not know how it's working or what it's going to do if you ask questions. So for my company, that's why I don't allow people to just go and buy trade lines. We have to assess your report to see which ones will best work for you depending on why you're getting it. So like
Gotcha.
you just have another thing. So say you want to go after funding and you only have your highest credit card on your report is $500.
Mm-hmm.
You're most likely not going to get high limits because they're going to try to match what you already have. If you had a trade line before you went for funding and that shot you up to having a $20,000 line reporting, those other
Mm-hmm.
are more likely to match that or give you something higher because you already have one reporting. That's
Yeah.
what you get them. So not for income, but for buying power, if you will.
Yeah. And trade lines, to let y'all know, are perfectly legal.
Yes.
Just,
Oh,
just
for
letting you know,
sure.
those who purchase trade lines for their credit, it is absolutely legal. One of the things that I also found out too, as a business owner, is that you can actually report credit to business credit to the credit bureaus for. So
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I didn't. I mean, of course, that would make sense, right?
Even phone, like somebody like went, let's just say, for example, you currently have a T-Mobile account and you
Mm-hmm,
want to trade it over, transfer it over to a business line. And they
mm-hmm.
can backdate the other payments that you had up to like 2 years, I think, and put that onto your business credit report. It doesn't have to be when you actually start the line. Yeah, they ask them for a ledger and they can report it.
See, I didn't know that.
You can backdate rent. So rent reporters is also what you can use as a primary account on your personal credit report. They can backdate that sometimes, depending on the company, 6 months, sometimes 2 years. That's also another company.
Wow.
So it's important on your personal credit you have a certain amount of primary accounts, your own accounts. You can have trade lines that help you, but you want to have at least 4 to 6 of your own account.
Gotcha.
Trade lines.
Wow.
Yeah, girl.
Y'all listen. For everybody that missed this show, y'all need to make sure y'all send the link to your friends and family. Post it on your timelines. Post it in your news feeds. People, this is actually the longest show that we've done. No, is this the longest one? The second longest show, but I feel like it was for like it every second, every minute was so worth it.
I agree. I have fun.
It's so worth it. And I really do. Our producers are going to take clips from this and like share it all over different platforms. But you should see some picking up because we need to get this information, especially at our community. I know one of the things that I had discussed with you earlier was based on I had done a Google search for Pew Research to see what like the hot topic trends were in the Black community. And one of the some of the research that I found when it came to finding out from Black people like who they perceive as the responsible party for the Black community, for things happening within the Black community, 48.2% of those who were polled said that it's the responsibility of politicians and in the government to do things within our community. And that's why we're still in the position that we're in, because we're waiting for someone to come and do it for us, what we can actually do for ourselves.
I agree. I agree 100%. And this is why I always say, like, self education is the best tool, because like
Mhm.
they're purposely businesses that are keeping information from you to keep you where you are. And so
Yep.
relying on, the news and these schools to teach you everything, like you got nothing
Mhm.
coming, because probably 90% of what I know I taught myself, or I've learned outside of school. I have a whole doctorate degree. And I felt like when I graduated college, it did not prepare me for the real world at all.
And that is the truth, because I have my master's
I wrote a
degree.
book
And
about that too.
what you're saying is so true.
Mhm.
I mean, so yeah, I definitely appreciate you. I think I know that this information that you've given is going to free and liberate a lot of us, and really enable us to go get these coins while the getting is good, before they try to go in and start changing things. And that's exactly what's happening in Atlanta, is that Black people are getting in on the Airbnb game. So now, because Black people getting in it,
Now that we're doing it, they're putting all these, but people been
yeah,
doing it for, like, I'm telling you, that's why you got to stay rooted and stay educated, because it's way.
exactly. But like, they know we resourceful. So like, if you tell me my LLC can
Right.
only have 5 Airbnbs,
I had
I'm
10
gonna get
LLC.
another LLC.
I'm telling you, girl, I'm gonna have 10, because guess what? You can create as many LLCs as you want to.
That's right.
I am
That's right.
separate from my entity, my business, so I don't have more than one LLC. My business
Right.
owns the LLC, and this business does, and this business
In
does.
that business, exactly. 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 Well, yeah, so y'all, thank you so much, Dr.
You're
Goody, for
welcome.
joining us tonight. I am so excited to have you. I can't even tell you. And I already told you, I'm coming.
Yes. Oh, yes, I remember. So before we end, just want to let the viewers know that I do have a consumer rights class that is scheduled for January 18th. I think it's 8 p.m. EST or 7 p.m. EST, one of them, the information in my bio. I did add more seats just because I was coming on here, because I was completely sold out. I told you that. I just added more seats. So if you guys are interested in really learning consumer laws, how to endorse your bills, how to not pay them, send them back, I'm going to be teaching you guys that in the class. And like, I only added a few more seats. It's already been a sold out class. So if you're interested, please book. I added seats just for y'all.
Come on now, y'all. Go on and get it.
Out,
Get
yeah.
it, get it, get it.
It's,
She's
it's
gonna
this
teach
class
it.
is a game. Like, it's gonna blow your mind, and it's game changing. I'm talking about, this is gonna start your journey of being debt free. Debt.
Mm. Wow, and and just to piggyback off of what she's saying really quickly, is I was just watching somebody's YouTube channel like a couple of days ago, and one of the things that she was saying was like, influencers, they don't tell you everything. They only tell you a little bit, and a lot of stuff they be lying. Now I had to do this, I had to do that, and in order to, they have you jumping through all kinds of hoops to try to get to where they are, and they're not really telling you the whole truth. But y'all do not have to worry about that with Dr. Goody. Y'all heard her say,
The bad, the ugly, the sad.
yes, y'all heard her say on her live, she had people going and getting $15,000 credit limits. She's sending them out, and they coming back saying, "Hey, I just got a 15." She's telling you what she's saying. You can take it to the bank.
And anything I teach, you can fact check.
Yes.
Most of I teach, you can fact check. Some things I teach, you're not going to find it online. But when it comes to the laws, it's all public information. So anything I teach you in the consumer rights class, I'm going to show you in the class exactly what the law says. Everything, the bills paid for you, everything. I'm going to show you exactly, so that you can continue to have a place to go to learn where to continue to study. And I'm going to give you resources and stuff.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Goody.
Like, I want to have you back, because I am here with no problem. Trust me.
Oh yes, and we're gonna have to do it. And I have some other ideas of things that I would like to do too. But I'm gonna call you tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow and see if we can get together and do some other things. But yes, y'all make sure to share this. Thank you so much, Dr. Goody. Have a wonderful evening.
You
I
too.
so appreciate you, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye, Queen.
Bye. See you later, Queen.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So listen, yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. This is listen, she knocked this one out the park, okay? This is our first episode of the season, and I think it was fire. If you know someone or you yourself can use this information, go back and keep rewinding and keep replaying and take all of this information in. She gave a lot of information. I took some notes. I plan on going back tonight or tomorrow and looking at this whole episode all over again and taking more notes. And I am going to be reaching out to her, so that we can do some good stuff for people for our community. But anyways, guys, I hope that y'all enjoyed this episode of T-shirts and Tea Tuesdays, and I hope that you had your tea and that you enjoyed this tantalizing, effervescent acumen that we spilled out tonight for you. And we will see you on Thursday for Bimp on the Spot with Taz, exclusive interview with Mark Evans the second. And we will also be seeing you all on next Tuesday for T-shirts and Tea Tuesdays, guys, at 7:30 p.m. So be sure to be here, okay? Because we're gonna have another very important and special guest for you all. So in the meantime, in between time, we'll see you soon. God bless you and have a great evening. Good night.